In the headlines for this hour on VTV News, Vietnam, Kyrgyzstan seek to bolster bilateral ties. Vietnam's economy gains momentum in first 2 months. Later on in our world news, EU Special Summit discusses rearmament of Europe and support for Ukraine.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. Prime Minister Phie hosted an official welcome ceremony on March the 6th at the presidential palace for Kyrgyz counterpart Abdulbek Akasimayev, who is on an official visit to Vietnam. Following the ceremony, the two leaders held talks to strengthen bilateral cooperation.
Prime Minister Phie warmly welcomed Prime Minister Abdulbek Akasimayev on his first official visit to Vietnam since the two countries established diplomatic ties in 1992. He emphasized the visit as a historic milestone. He highlighted Vietnam's commitment to upgrading bilateral relations to a comprehensive partnership and appreciated Kyrgyzstan's long-standing friendship and past support. The leaders acknowledged the steady growth of bilateral trade, but noted that it remains unstable and has yet to reach its full potential. They emphasized the need to maximize the benefits of the Vietnam-Eurasian Economic Union Free Trade Agreement. Both sides agreed to support the establishment of coordination mechanisms between economic, trade, and investment agencies and explore the possibility of forming an intergovernmental committee. Prime Minister Phie and Prime Minister Abdulbek Akasimayev assigned relevant ministries to accelerate negotiations on agreements, including those on double taxation avoidance, investment promotion and protection, and economic cooperation. Prime Minister Phie suggested that both countries explore cooperation in halal production and exports to Kyrgyzstan and Central Asia. Beyond trade, the leaders pledged to strengthen agriculture, security, education, tourism, transportation, connectivity, particularly in aviation and railways. The Vietnamese leader also thanked Kyrgyzstan for supporting the Vietnamese community and requested continued assistance ensuring their well-being. Following their talks, the two leaders signed a joint statement. They witnessed the signing of agreements in education, justice, and civil aviation. Prime Minister Abdulbek Akasimayev extended an invitation to Prime Minister Phie to visit Kyrgyzstan to further discuss measures to enhance bilateral ties.
Receiving Kyrgyzstan Prime Minister Abdulbek Akasimayev on Thursday afternoon, Party General Secretary Theo praised the positive progress in bilateral cooperation over the past 3 decades and expressed a desire to strengthen ties further. He emphasized leveraging the Vietnam-Eurasian Economic Union Free Trade Agreement and enhancing both country roles in connecting Central Asia and ASEAN. Moving forward, both sides should increase high-level exchanges and establish cooperation in security and defense, transport connectivity, and logistics. During a meeting with Kyrgyzstan Prime Minister Abdulbek Akasimayev, State President Lương Cường reaffirmed Vietnam's appreciation for Kyrgyzstan's past support and highlighted the need to strengthen political trust. Prime Minister Akasimayev shared the outcomes of his talk with Prime Minister Phie, agreeing on the need to enhance delegation exchanges and create favorable conditions for business investment. The state president noted that trade cooperation remained modest and called for action to expand collaboration in key sectors such as investment, education, science, transportation, energy, mining, and cultural exchange. Both leaders pledged to support each other in international organizations and multilateral forums. Vietnam was ready to help Kyrgyzstan strengthen ties with Southeast Asia and ASEAN. The state president also thanked Kyrgyzstan for supporting the Vietnamese community and encouraged continued efforts to ensure their stability, further strengthening bilateral relations. National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn also met with Kyrgyzstan Prime Minister Alnubek Kasimalev to strengthen parliamentary ties and bilateral cooperation. He reaffirmed Vietnam's commitment to supporting government efforts. He emphasized the potential for trade, investment, tourism, transportation, education, and cultural collaboration. Both sides agreed to strengthen coordination between their national assemblies, support each other at multilateral forums such as the Inter-Parliamentary Union, and promote exchanges between delegations, committees, and parliamentary friendship groups. They also pledged to collaborate on regional and international issues on mutual interest. Earlier, Prime Minister Kasimalev led a wreath at the monument to heroic martyrs and visited President Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum, honoring Vietnam's historical legacy. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính chaired a national conference on removing obstacles and accelerating social housing development on Thursday with virtual connection to 63 provinces and cities.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính acknowledged that progress in social housing remains slow and inefficient, despite high demand and strong government commitment. Recently, localities were assigned specific annual targets for the number of social housing units completed. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính urged them to treat this as a political priority, emphasizing a people-centered approach where policies must be designed to serve the community. On resources, he outlined several measures already in place or underway, including establishing a national housing fund and dispersing a $5.7 billion USD credit package for social housing, which will not count toward banks' lending limits. Regarding procedures, the Prime Minister stressed the need for streamlined policies to accelerate development, calling for reduced bureaucracy and faster approvals. He also underscored key standards for social housing projects.
This is not about using leftover land or assigning social housing only after commercial projects fail to auction. Social housing is an integral part of the real estate sector. It must be developed with comprehensive healthcare, education, sports, and cultural infrastructure. Social housing must be structurally solid and architecturally appropriate. Party committees and local authorities must be fully engaged and allocate land properly. Institutional bottlenecks must be addressed in the upcoming legislative session.
Vietnam General Statistics Office released its economic and social report for February and the first 2 months of the year. The data highlights several positive economic indicators, stable macroeconomic conditions, control inflation, and balance key economic factors. These encouraging signs lay a crucial foundation for the country to achieve its annual GDP growth target of over 8% as set by the government.
As one of the two key drivers of Vietnam's economic growth, total import-export turnover exceeded 127 billion USD in the first 2 months of the year, marking a 12% increase compared to the same period last year, with a trade surplus of nearly 1.5 billion USD. Despite strong export performance in several sectors, challenges remain due to global trade fluctuations.
In the first 2 months of this year, our export growth increased by 12%, with the U.S. market alone seeing a rise of over 10% compared to 2024.
Some countries affected by U.S. trade policies will face greater market challenges, leading to increased competition with Vietnamese goods in non-U.S. markets.
Vietnam's Consumer Price Index (CPI) rose 3.27% year-on-year, but remained within tolerance. The agricultural sector continued to perform well, ensuring national food security. Foreign direct investment (FDI) reached over 6.9 billion USD, up 35.5% compared to the same period last year.
Fiscal and monetary policies supporting the economy have proven effective. Businesses have resumed stable operations, ensuring steady government revenue collection.
Despite these positive signs, Vietnam's economy remains under pressure from global uncertainties. Developing contingency plans for worst-case scenarios and feasible and concrete solutions will be essential to sustaining long-term growth in the coming years.
The Vietnam Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index PMI reached 49.2 points in February, higher than the January figure, while business confidence among enterprises rose to its highest level since mid-last year. Though S&P Global survey indicates export orders remain limited, the outlook for the year is positive. The report also noted increased purchasing activities in February, reflecting growing confidence in future growth. However, transportation challenges posed the main obstacles to the manufacturing sector in February, particularly through delivery delays and rising costs. Coming up next on VTV News, anti-poaching team in Kyrgyzstan forest. And economic values of Chang'an heritage sites assessed for the first time. Following the streamlining of its administrative structure, Ho Chi Minh City People's Committee on March 1st officially launched 7 specialized departments. Operation at the newly formed departments have gone smoothly in the first few days, ensuring uninterrupted services for residents and businesses. Despite the reshuffle and the addition of new responsibility, most departments resume essential services as normal, including one-stop service offices for administrative procedures. Ho Chi Minh City plans to accelerate digital transformations, administrative reforms, and staff training to ensure its governance remain efficient and flexible, meeting the city development needs. Farmers have traditionally relied on experience, but in modern agriculture, experience alone is no longer enough. Digital technology has opened a new chapter, giving farmers faster, more accurate information and stronger market connections. They can now participate in digital communities where every production decision is supported by data and technology.
After discovering a successful jackfruit growing model on the Vietnamese farmer application, Mrs. Sao decided to try it herself. With 1 hectare of land, her family now earns over 10,000 USD per year. For her, today's life feels like a dream.
In the past, we planted on a large scale. We didn't understand the market. Later, we discovered that growing jackfruit and lemon is very effective.
With its engaging design and wealth of information and features, the application serves as a valuable resource for farmers eager to learn.
It is very convenient and easy to use. It has information on the policies of the party and the state, the association's activities, and many utilities, such as market prices and agricultural weather. These are very necessary.
As understanding grows, participation becomes voluntary. By 2024, nearly 47,500 members and farmers in Ho Giang had installed the application, exceeding the target by more than 128%.
Throughout the process, farmers learn from the application, adopt the practices, and encourage family and friends to join. Direct meetings and guidance help farmers become active participants.
Information is now abundant and accessible. Agricultural production has become more straightforward, empowering farmers to confidently manage their own gardens and fields.
In An Giang, 800 hectares Kyrgyzstan forest, home to over 70 rare bird species, forest rangers quietly battle stock bandits who set trap for profit. Their silent dedication protect wildlife, preserve the forest beauty, and inspires community conservation.
Hidden in the darkness, the Trasu Kajuput Forest Protection Team patrols and captures stork bandits illegally hunting birds in the area. Since 2019, hundreds of violations have been detected.
Tấp vô đậu ơi, có đèn. Nó pha đèn đó.
I often have to stalk 4 to 5 times to catch a subject, but the chase happens in a split second.
Làm gì em Tân? Buông đi! Con tàu ơi, tôi không lên đó!
If the mother is shot dead, the young ones will die without the mother feeding them.
If we don't protect this flock of storks now, future generations will have to buy tickets to see them in other provinces where they are better protected. When we face the subjects, they are very aggressive.
They carry knives and weapons. I was threatened and beaten.
This is the slingshot, the projectile, used to shoot me in the neck.
Despite hardships, the 6-member Trasu Forest Protection Team works 24/7, patrolling over 800 hectares. Their efforts have curbed violations and inspired many to help protect the birds.
I used to hunt 30 to 40 storks to support my family, but now I have a stable job as a boat driver. Visitors who come to see the storks now help support my family in a better way.
Cool, there's so many different kinds of birds. It's nice to see that. Definitely recommend it to anyone who is coming through here.
No one could do this job without love for the forest. Our salary is modest. I've only been here 6 months, but I truly admire my team volunteering for overtime to protect the storks.
According to the National Tourism Administration, Vietnam welcomed nearly 1.9 million international visitors in February, bringing the 2-month total to nearly 4 million, a year-on-year increase of over 30%. Favorable visa policies, effective tourism promotion, and prestigious international awards drive the strong growth. From March 1st, citizens of Poland, the Czech Republic, and Switzerland are granted a 45-day visa exemption. The government is also exploring expanding visa policies, particularly for traditional partners and high-spending travelers. A plan to expand Hoàn Kiếm Lake public space has spelled the demolitions of the commercial center building at 7 Dinh Tiên Hoàng, commonly known as Shachyaw. The city is considering an underground complex in the square area with 3 basement levels. The first basement is planned for cultures and commercial spaces, while the second and third could serve as parking or multifunctional area based on actual needs. The renovation project will also extend to Dinh Tiên Hoàng, Cầu Gỗ Street, Hoàn Kiếm Lake, and nearby structures like the Long Vân, Hồng Vân buildings, the Hồ Gươm Cultural Information Center, and the Thủy Bạ building. Ninh Bình province has launched a pioneering project that assesses the economic value of the Chang'an landscape complex. This initiative aims to comprehensively quantify the economic and brand value of this UNESCO World Heritage Site, focusing on its role in sustainable tourism and local economic development.
After a 2-year study, Chang'an has now joined the small list of World Heritage Sites that have been economically assessed. It includes France's Eiffel Tower, Italy's Colosseum in Italy, and the Tower of London. Researchers have valued Chang'an at $213 billion USD using scientific methods and tourism-based economic indicators.
Research is still in progress. We are approaching the conclusion. The goal of the research is to understand the economic overall value of Chang'an and all its components.
More than a decade after its recognition as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Chang'an Landscape Complex has emerged as a global tourism hotspot. The province's long-term sustainable heritage conservation strategy has been well received. UNESCO has hailed Chang'an's management model as exemplary, recognizing it as a global heritage conservation and development benchmark.
Is the involvement of the local community in the site, in the management of the site, in the daily life around the site. And so I think this project has given yet one more opportunity.
This initiative aims to establish a scientific and practical foundation for assessing the economic and brand value of World Heritage sites in Vietnam. We also seek to share best practices and successful management models from Chang'an with the international community through what we call the Chang'an Declaration.
The impact of tourism and services on Ninh Binh economy is transformative. Tourism now contributes over 43% of the province's GRDP.
Coming up next in our war news, EU Special Summit discusses a rearmament of Europe and support for Ukraine. And brain cells used in chips for world first biological computer. European Union leaders met for a special summit on Thursday to discuss the rearmament of Europe and continued support for Ukraine. The €800 billion European rearmament plan introduced by the European Commission's president ahead of the summit has sparked technical, legal and political debate. The European Council's address these concerns in Thursday meeting before finalizing written decisions at the next summit in 2 weeks. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will also attend to discuss Ukraine's urgent needs. The European Union is considering a €30 billion aid package for Ukraine in 2025, with some countries advocating for an even higher amount. However, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban may block the proposal. Starting March 1st, Russia has implemented a significant new system to help citizens shield themselves from potential fraud related to loans and credit. The self-banned service for loans and credits has been launched on the governmental portal known as Goshursky. Under this self-ban mechanism, individuals can voluntarily restrict the issuance of consumer loans and credits. Users can also customize the maximum amount for a single transaction or the maximum number of transactions allowed during a certain time. The tool is designed to help the bank mitigate risk, limiting the possibility of fraudulent transactions or unauthorized borrowing using customer funds. According to the Central Bank of Russia, over 3 million Russians registered for service within the first 4 days. South Korea is rolling out an ambitious visa program to attract top foreign talent to its high-tech sectors. The new top-tier visa seeks to attract outstanding foreign professionals in advanced industries such as semiconductors, display, secondary batteries, biotechnology, robotics, and defense by offering immigration and residency benefits. Those who have a master or doctoral degree from one of the world's top 100 universities, 8 years of work experience, including at least 3 years at a global top 500 company, an annual income of at least $100,000, and a plan to work at high-tech company in Korea are eligible for the new visa program. Could the brain inspire a better way of developing AI? One Australian company might have an answer. Using an approach to computing that mimics how the human brain works, the company combines actual human neurons with computer chips in what is cited as the world's first biological computer. More detail in the following story.
It might look like a typical server rack, but this is billed as the world's first biological computer. It contains not just computer chips, but brain cells grown from human tissue. Cortical Labs takes adult blood or skin samples, reprograms them to become stem cells, and then turns these into neurons, which can be placed into a computer chip and stimulated to learn.
The brain's an organ that does a lot of intelligence and computation with very low amount of energy required. And so we decided that maybe this might be an alternative form to silicon to build the future computer out of. And so we take these neurons or brain cells, put them on a computer chip, read the electrical activity, and provide them a little bit of a stimulus based on the computer program.
The main advantage of a biological system over an artificial one is that it uses less energy. A human brain typically uses 20 watts, whereas a very large GPU used for AI can consume 6,000 watts or more. What's more, developers at Cortical Lab noticed one characteristic that could make it a medical game changer.
We take the cells from donors. These cells inherit the disease states that the donors have. So if you had a patient with epilepsy and you grew the neurons or the brain cells from them, the brain cells actually exhibit seizures like their donors, and this actually gives us a really good way to experiment and do drug development.
While the tech is in its infancy, Cortical Labs believes that biological networks have the potential to process data faster and learn quicker than artificial ones.
And now, as usual, let's continue with the weather forecast. And that's it for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can log on to VTVgo.vn or download a mobile application VTVgo. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.